some walks on there that are really accessible and kind of suitable for wheelchair users and for buggies as well, and really grateful for Ben Andrews' work on that, and he's going to speak a bit later about the stuff he's been doing and how he can help you do that. I just wanted to kind of mention, I suppose, why we've kind of set this workshop up and this work on Go Jauntly, really. So I work for GM Moving on the GM Walking ambition in Greater Manchester. So in Greater Manchester, if you don't know, we've got a real ambition to support as many people as possible to walk every day, whatever their circumstance or whatever they want to walk for, with a recognition that walking is fabulous and very good for your health and well-being, but also really accessible to the majority of the population. So we're working on a lot of different things to support that across Greater Manchester. One of the things we wanted to do is to look at how we could accelerate and progress things digitally, and look at ways in which apps and the digital world can help people walk more. And it's, I suppose, more and more important in this day and age when we've got all the challenges of Corona land and the restrictions that have been put on us. We're always looking at ways to support communities and individuals to be more active, and walking has been, thankfully, one of those great ways to kind of support people to keep active during these times and keep connected to other people, keep connected to nature. And we feel that the Go Jauntly app can really help people to do that as well. So, and what we want to do through these workshops and kind of going forward is support everyone who's here today and more people that we'll get in contact with in the future to be empowered to utilise these resources that we're putting together. So hopefully that will really help today. As we're going today, we've got a few different people speaking. Kaz is going to keep an eye on the chat. So if you do have any questions, please just whack them in chat, and we'll try and keep an eye on them between us and raise any questions that come through. We will have some time at the end for some question and answer session. So again, if you'd rather ask your question in person, we can do that, or we'll pick up questions that are coming through in chat. You can also get in touch after this workshop, and we'll reinforce that at the end. And maybe, Kaz, if you want to put in chat our email address and website. So we've got the GM Walking website, but also our email address at info@GM Walking. I think Kaz might have already done that. Do get in touch and we can pick up any inquiries after the session as well. So yeah, so I think that's it from me. I'll pass on to Claudia, who's going to talk about Go Jauntly to begin with.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Beth. I just wanted to flag that we're going to be recording the session. So yeah, if you, obviously most of you have got your videos off anyway, which is helpful, but if not, you might want to turn them off. But just be aware of that later on. Like Beth said, if you want to ask a question in person, then we will see your face, which I'm sure will be lovely, but just wanted to flag. And hopefully we can share that with you, and you can share it with colleagues and friends and family and so on who might be interested in doing our walks, and why wouldn't they? So an introduction to me, I'm Claudette, I work for Go Jauntly, I'm the community and sales manager, and today I really wanted to walk you through our app, our key features, and then, like Beth said, I'm going to pass you on to Ben and Andrew, who are going to give you a bit more information about how to make walks as accessible as possible for people. I'm just going to turn off my video and then hopefully share my phone screen with you. Can everybody see that okay?
Yep.
Real. Okay, so if you haven't used Go Jauntly before, this is what you'll see when you open the app. So this is our main page, and you can see we've got various collections in here which we update on a monthly basis. These are tailored to your location. So I'm in London at the moment, so mine have some London-based routes such as the London Wildlife Trust Forest Bathing, the Capital Ring that we did with TfL, etc. If you're one of the lucky people in Manchester, then you'll be able to access the amazing GM Walking routes, which you should see near the top of your screen at the moment. These are great for inspiration. You can do a whole walk, obviously not necessarily everywhere at the moment, but you can get inspiration for walks in the hopefully near future. You can dive into anything just to have a look at what the walk might entail. So you can swipe left to right to have a look at the kind of things you'll see on the way. Every single walk has images but is backed up by a location map as well, so it gives you an overview before you even decide to go on a walk, what it might entail and how long it is, etc. There are our main walking collections. We've also got, if you have a look at the navigation bar at the bottom, I know it's hard because you can't see my finger, but I'll try and tell you what I'm doing, what I'm pressing as I go through. We brought out a new feature this year, which you can see at the bottom, called Notes. So this is one of our latest green prescription features, and you can just see that our app's working nicely to have a little chat with me now. And the idea of this is it's kind of like a nature diary of sorts, where you can upload pictures or just text about what you have noticed in nature. So you can see that some of mine are out and about, mushrooms on a mossy log the other day, one of my children kicking about in the forest. But yesterday, was that Tuesday? That was just from where I'm sitting right now, looking outside my window. So just making sure that I'm reminding myself to notice what I can see outside. And I've got some little irises coming through, which I'm surprised by because I need to spend more time in my garden looking after it. This is really handy. There's loads of research that we've looked into with the University of Derby about nature connection and what that does for mental well-being, and particularly important at the moment, like Beth mentioned. Another great new feature we've got is updated our walking map. So hopefully you can see that at the bottom navigational panel. This is a fantastic resource. I use this way more than any other mapping feature for a few reasons. One is because of our new feature, which is called Green Routes for You. So you can see at the bottom there, I've now got options to either select a route from A to B or to do a circular walk. And what it does, I'll show you what I did the other day. I was going to a place called Walthamstow Wetlands. Is if you click on the place you want to go and say walk to here, it will provide you with a couple of different routes. And you can see at the bottom, hopefully you can select from the greenest route, or you can select the fast route. So obviously sometimes we need to get places quickly, but more often than not, we can probably spend a little bit more time going, along a more scenic route and spending some time in nature to boost our mental well-being. So this provides me with a couple of different options. And then if you scroll through, if you zoom in a little bit, you can see different features along the way. So it pulls in some green space data, the names of the different places that you'll be going past. And this is currently in beta on iOS only. We're bringing it to Android next spring. And it's the way that we've built the technology is to learn from people's experiences. So there's a little thumb, you can hopefully see the bottom left. You can use that as you're walking along a route to upvote or downvote it, and our technology will learn from your experience about that route and what you've enjoyed or not enjoyed about it. You can also provide us with feedback, like written feedback, by using the little dots in the other corner. You can also create circular routes by this little feature here. You can see it's the same thing. It says routes for Claude. And this is because we've seen this year, obviously, a huge amount of people looking for routes and walking routes near them, which is why the GM collection is so brilliant in Manchester, because there are hyperlocal walks around the whole of Manchester. I unfortunately don't live near those routes. So this is something that I could use near me in East London. And it takes me via the greenest, least polluted, most tranquil route, pulling in lots of different data sets that we've used to provide me, with a route for however long or short I have. So if I've got longer, I can go for like a 55-minute route, or I could just have like a 25-minute little lunchtime route, and that's in there. And then finally, I'm going to talk you through how to create a walk. Andrea is going to expand on this later, but I'm going to just show you how to do it using the app and the main features within the app to help you to do that. So at the bottom, you can see there's a create button. You go to that. We usually at Go Jauntly suggest you go for a walk, take pictures along the way, and then make the walk when you're at home, usually because people have Wi-Fi and the connection's a little bit better, but you can do this when you're out and about. So these are some pictures from obviously a very short walk I did the other day, where I didn't take a huge amount of pictures, but this is just to show you how to do it. So select the pictures that you want, try to select them in the right order, but it doesn't matter because you can change them later. So So that's done. It will then put them in that order that you've selected, and then you can add text to these images. That's pretty important, especially for accessibility reasons, to make sure that people know where they're going, but also to look out for certain things or be aware of certain things, which Ben will touch on. But this is also just to provide instructions. So let's say leave the Warren Road car park and enter through the gate, or whatever it might be. There's a little pin you can see bottom left hand corner. If I click that, I can check the location, and you can see it is on Warren Road. It's roughly in the right place, but if I wanted to change the location, I'd just click that button and make sure it was exactly in the right place. I could then go to the next step and write something else. Walk down through the avenue of trees. I actually know they're oaks, so I'm going to put that in because I think some people might be interested in that. And again, I can check the location for that. That one's not in the right place. And therefore I can just toggle that to where I know it should be and save that. Moving on, obviously I'm not going to type something for everything because this is a demonstration, but you would obviously, this would then be like turn right at the bottom, etc. And carry on. You need to, the technology is pretty good. Obviously, GPS isn't always perfect. Make sure before you start doing any of this that you have ensured you've turned your location on, you've allowed location sharing on for your pictures on your phone. Otherwise, this won't work. Or you'll try to do it and you'll have to find a location for every single picture, which will be really difficult. So that's the most important thing to start with. If you have a much longer walk than this, which is likely, and you needed to add another step because you've realized that you've missed one out, or there's a really interesting feature and you know a little bit about the local history, for example, there are some options at the bottom which hopefully you can see to add information. So if you wanted to add text, you could add a text step, and that'll add a step after the step that you're currently on. Type some information in there, disheveled apparently, and then these won't come up with any kind of location because I'm just doing it now. So you would have to add that and put it, you know, where relevant. So let's say that was information about step number three. That's a very disheveled place apparently. You could save that there and then carry on. If you realize you'd put your pictures in the wrong order, that's really easy to change. I'm on an iPhone at the moment, so what I would do is I would pinch in from the corners of my screen, so just move my fingers from the outside to the inside, and then it will switch you to this thumbnail grid view. And if you hold down any picture, you can easily move it around to the correct place. Or let's say you didn't need one of the pictures, you put two in by accident, you could get rid of it and then just click done. And you can just zoom back in again using your fingers to go back to the step-by-step view. Once you've added in all of that data, you've got the pictures in the right places, you've got some directions to help people, you've checked the locations, you then just need to hit next in the top right hand corner. And it will bring you up with this view. This will be the cover image that everybody sees in the app when you upload your lovely walk. So obviously give your walk an appropriate name. So I know that this is Wanstead Park. It will pull up a location for you. This is in Redbridge in London. I'm happy with that, but if not, you could change it slightly. It's by me, so I'm in there. It gives you the time for the walk and it gives you the duration of the walk and the distance as well. I know that when I do my walks, by and large, I'm with two very young kids, which if you have kids means that you have to stop for a lot of snacks. And therefore I would know that this time would probably be incorrect. So therefore you can easily edit this. So let's say, I don't know, we stop for snacks for 20 minutes. You could just change this as necessary if you've stopped for lunch, blah, 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 just to give people an overview. Or obviously you can write information within the app as well for people to help people to say, we stop here for lunch for 20 minutes, you can take this off, etc. It will come up with a walk around Redbridge. You can take that out and just write more information in here. So I might write something like, I don't know, forest bathing, lake views and picnic spots. Something just to help people, give them more information. And then the last thing to do on this page is to add some walk features. So this was designed by us to try and make walks as accessible as possible for people. Some people need parking, some people don't, some people need things that are kid friendly, some people don't, etc. People are going to be interested in different things. So I would select up to 6. I know that this has a water feature. I took my kids on it, so I'd hope it was child friendly. I know it's dog friendly because it's a popular dog walking spot. There are picnic spots, there's parking, and there's wildlife. And then they're added at the bottom. And then once you're happy with it, I'm on an iPhone, I can press preview. If you're on an Android phone, preview isn't currently available, but it will be by next spring. It doesn't actually matter too much. I'll show you why. You can then just see what the walk will look like in the app. If I then publish that, it will be uploaded to Go Jauntly, and myself and my lovely colleagues would check that for you. It's going to take a while because we're on this Zoom call, but if I show you some of my other published walks, if at any point I noticed an error with them or I wanted to add some more information, I can edit them because they're my walks. So from here you can see there's a little pencil icon. I can go into any of these and it will give me the option to edit the walk or delete the walk. So at any point I can go in and do exactly the same as I've just showed you, move steps around, delete steps, add more information as necessary, and then you just republish the walk, and then you're done. A couple of things to show you. I'm just going to switch to a different view. Bear with me. Can you all see this slide now? Yeah, great.
Yeah.
So thank you. So these are a few differences which I mentioned on Android. So the first one on the left-hand side, if you're creating a walk on Android, I mentioned on an iPhone, you would kind of pinch the sides in to get that thumbnail view. On Android, you can see you would click the 4 little square icons at the top, and you can do exactly the same thing. And then, as mentioned, there isn't preview currently available on Android, but it doesn't matter too much. Once you publish a walk, you can go back and edit it, change things around, add things as necessary. So yeah, that's an overview of how to create a walk. I hope that was helpful. Let me come out of this share. And I'm going to hand over to Ben now from Empower You, who is going to give you some more information about how to make walks accessible for everyone.
Yeah, cheers, Claude. Claude, I've not got access to share screen at the minute, so I don't know if you're able to make me co-host and then I can do it from there.
Sorry, Ben. Hopefully you can now. Let me know if you can't.
Yeah, that's looking okay. I've not got a fancy slideshow like Claude, but hopefully still good information. Can everyone see that?
Yeah.
So my name's Ben Andrews and I manage Empower You, which works across Greater Manchester to make places more accessible to enable disabled people to be active, and that work's currently hosted by Unlimited Potential. And some of my work has involved me working on Salford's local pilot with the Parks and Green Spaces team to try and encourage more disabled people to access the local parks and green spaces. And to support with that, I've been accompanying Andrew on some of the walks around Salford to assess how suitable some of them are for disabled people to access and try and identify features within that park which will help inform whether somebody is able to access that walk or not. And I'm trying to stay clear of calling things accessible. I think from our learning, what we found is that it's very difficult to claim something is completely accessible unless we're starting from scratch and designers are working with the people who what they're designing for is supposed to serve. It's very unlikely that it's going to be completely accessible for everyone. So we don't want to claim that, and it's not really our responsibility to claim that. We can only work with what we've got. We can assess the routes and we can talk about some of the features on the routes, but we can never say it's completely accessible, because what's accessible for one person, and a lot of accessibility really is focused around wheelchair users. So although a walk might be step free, if there's a lot of overhanging branches, or if it's particularly busy at a certain time, there's lots of noise there, then it might not be accessible for someone who's hypersensitive. So just be very cautious of claiming something's accessible. And instead, what we try to do is focus on the features of the park and place that ownership of making that choice whether something is accessible for a person or not on the person who'll be accessing that route. So we've done this by the little description box, which Claude just shown you. So basically, when we're going around the park, rather than just sort of passing this path and saying this is just part of the route, making just small, concise comments on that route. So for this one, for example, it might be something like this segment of the route is quite rocky and uneven, which will then help people with mobility issues. It'll help wheelchair users. It'll help people pushing prams to identify and make their own decision as to whether that route or that segment of the route is right for them. Again, it doesn't have to be, really regimented in what you put in there. Keep it fun. So for example, if there's a particular busy time on the park when there's a lot of dogs around or a lot of people, and it might become quite overbearing for someone who's hypersensitive, then just make a note of that. You don't have to think about impairment groups and all disabled people brought. Basically say what you see, and then people can figure out for themselves whether that route might be useful for them or not. And if there's things like overhanging branches, then just making it clear as you're going through the app and adding that description. So again, people can make their own choice. I won't be sort of doing a full audit on parks here, but it's just basically as simple as saying what you see, what you hear and what you feel. So if there is something that you're noticing, whether it's overhanging branches that people need to avoid, whether it's park benches that people might want to sit on, whether it's just a nice view of the lake, what you're hearing, is it particularly noisy at a certain time? Could you pop that down? And what you're feeling, how does the ground feel? Is it uneven? Is it grainer? Is it nice and smooth? And in that way, like I've said all the way through, people can make their own choice as to whether that route is accessible for them or not. And that responsibility is not on you. And why we do this, I think Andrew will go into this in a bit more depth. But the putting on the routes can take some time sometimes. So it's just about, if you are putting on the walks, just using that time as efficiently as possible for yourself and making sure that your time is best utilised, and it can the route that you're putting on can benefit as many people as possible once it's up through Go Jauntly. And that's me, really quick. But if you've got any questions afterwards, please feel free to get in touch, and I'll pass you on to Andrew, who's going to talk a bit more about his experience and the practicalities of using the app on the ground.
Okay, I'll jump straight in unless Claude has anything else to contribute.
I realised I didn't go through the search function, but I'll do that after you've finished if you don't cover it, Andrew. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, brilliant. Thank you, Claude. Okay, so yeah, my name's Andrew Reid. I know some of you. I'm from Walking Projects plus CIC, a Manchester-based social enterprise, and we look at working with organisations like GM Walking and local authorities on identifying routes, providing greater access to walks, getting more people walking, basically, which is our strapline. I actually I guess in some ways originated this project in the first place because I was so enthusiastic about what I saw from Go Jauntly. You could see that it's a very user-friendly app, both for users who don't need any special technical skills or mapping skills, and also for if you want to add a walk, it's fairly easy to do that as well without having expertise in mapping. And I thought it could really fit well the work that Beth and her team in GM Walking were doing in making local walks more accessible for people here, especially those who don't do lots of walks at the moment. Hence the emphasis of the project that we've done over the last couple of months on sort of making shorter routes that are as accessible for as many people as possible. I've worked with Ben as well on this project, and that's been really useful because he's got this specialist expertise in accessibility, and for me it's been a real revelation. It's changed my whole perception of what we mean by accessibility. As Ben has said, it's more a matter of if you like, giving people the information so that they can make decisions about whether a walk is accessible or not. I think now it's very, if you like, narrow point of view to just look at accessibility as, say, wheelchair friendly, as perhaps lots of us have traditionally done. Rather, you know, you can say that something, I've tended to use terms like step free, for example, if a walk doesn't have any steps in, but also I'd mention in the descriptions and Go Jauntly that there are slopes, obstacles, that kind of thing, as you'll see. So that's been a real important learning and something we can all think about when we're sort of either leading or planning walks, whether it's through the app or say through health walking schemes and so on. What I'll do now is just share my presentation with you. It's only short, just to show you a few things that I've learned from intensively putting 25 walks on an Android version of the app over the last few months. So let me just get this screen shared 1 second. Yep, there we go. Okay, I'll just make this big screen. 1 second. Can you all see my screen okay with the slides? Give me a signal, Ben.
Yeah, it's fine.
That's great. Thank you, Claude. Okay, the first thing I was going to say, just picking up on something that Claude said before, she mentioned that people at Go Jauntly, they've found it easier to actually take photographs and then add the walks at home using the app. My experience, interestingly, has been quite different. I've actually found it much easier to record the walks onto the app on the ground in, say, one of the parks in Bolton or by the canals in Manchester, rather than actually taking the photos first and doing it afterwards. The reason for that is I've just found that sometimes it's hard to remember exactly which direction you turned or which fork you take when you're back home afterwards. But certainly what I'd say is everyone's experience is different. The best way of learning to add walks to the app is actually just to try and do it. Have a practice for a couple of days, maybe realize that you're not going to actually utilize the first 1 or 2 that you do, and just see what works best for you. And the experience will be different whether you're on Android or in fact there are lots of different Android phones as well, so your experience might be different. So see what works for you. One good tip that I've found, definitely, whichever way that you do it, is to actually know the walk that you're going to add before you record it onto the app. That could be as simple as just going, say, to the park or to the country, the nature reserve where you're going to add the app before you add it, and just walking around the route and sort of planning out the route. So you might want to create a little map yourself. You might already have a map. When I was working, say, with the people in Alkrington Woods in Middlewood, they provided me with a map and directions already. So that was very, very useful. But having some information beforehand is very good. The problem that I found, if you don't do that, you might think a walk, for example, is going to be, say, wheelchair or pushchair friendly. But when you walk around it, you realize, oh, if we take this other route, we go on the edge of the park rather than the middle of the park, it's actually much better for people. So just try and walk around it first of all before you do it. Or alternatively, if it's a walk that you know very well already, you can get straight on in and record it on the app. As you can see on the 2 other pictures here, and the middle one, you can see me actually walking the route. So this was a route we've just added in Monton and Worsley in Salford. I was very happy on this part of the walk, so I could see it's nice and level for wheelchairs and pushchairs. But then I could also see, sorry, I'll just go back to the previous picture. I could also see in the picture on the right that there are lots and lots of nice, interesting features nearby as well. So I sort of made a note for myself of which things would be nice to include. Going to the next slide, this is an interesting tip, and I found this actually working with Joe Bennett, first of all, in Salford, where we've added quite a few walks. What I've realized is that if you actually have 2 of you when you record the walk, it's really helpful to people potentially using the walk in the future if you show a walker actually walking the route. If you look at the middle slide, middle picture here in particular, I've written on the description, when you come to a fork, take the wider right-hand path. Now, by taking the photo in such a way, I've sort of stood back a bit, you can see both forks of the path, but we can see Joe walking ahead of me on the right-hand one. Similarly, on the 3rd picture as well, included some of the features there that Ben has taught me about that are useful for, say, people with different impairments. So I've written turn left over ridged paving into Grosvenor Street and immediately cross it via the tactile dropped curbs. Now, because we can actually see Joe doing that, that really illustrates where exactly you need to go. It's not quite in a straight line, so having a walker in there, it's very useful to show the direction where you need to go. It's not necessary. Quite a few of the walks that I've done on the app over the last few months, I didn't have anyone else with me, but it is a useful tip I've found. Third tip is show and tell, really just to make it as easy as possible to users of the walks. Tell them what you write down, what they need to do, but also show them if possible. So on the left, we've got soon pass another bench, useful for a break. This was a tip I got from Ben that, say, for people with health conditions, it can be really useful to show them where benches are or picnic tables, that kind of thing. But we're actually showing Joe sitting on the bench there. On the next one as well, we're giving, this is a good example of what Ben was talking about, we're giving people as much information as they can to decide whether it's accessible for them. This was over in Rochdale, and I've written after the bridge, cross cobbles and pass through the narrow barrier, turn left on the wide smooth path. But I've actually shown the cobbles, shown the slightly rough path afterwards, and shown the narrow barrier so people can make their own decisions. And similarly on the third one, I've shown steps and I've shown the rail next to it and mentioned both of those too. Okay, the other thing which Ben also mentioned is include some fun and informative content. There are two reasons, if you like, for recording extra steps as well as the ones that are necessary for showing, say, where you need to turn left, turn right, choose between two paths. This is one because it makes the walk more attractive and more interesting, but also because it's actually very useful when you're recording the locations. It puts an extra location point on the phone, and it means that the route will be recorded more accurately. So on the left, I was in the park in Farnworth in Bolton. I noticed this plaque about a suffragette, so I took a nice photo of that one. There was a really lovely view on the Rochdale Canal over in Rochdale near Littleborough, so I put just take time to look back at it, added a nice photo. And I just happened to spot on a walk in the Irk Valley in Manchester, there's a little squirrel climbing up a tree. So I took a photo of that one and I wrote, keep a lookout for squirrels and other wildlife in the trees to the left. Anything that you see at all, you know, there's no holds barred, it's totally up to you as to what you think people will find interesting. Okay, and then this is just my only sort of technical tip, which I'd add. The location, as Claude showed you, doesn't always record totally accurately. So when you've actually taken your photograph on the left-hand picture, you've typed your words in, continue straight in after the first goalposts, ignoring the path to the left. What you then do is just always, I'd always recommend this after every single step, click on location added on the bottom right. That will show you then the map of where it thinks 0.5 the location is. Let's pretend I know that's in the wrong place. So as Claude said, you click change location, bottom right. You can then move the app with your thumb so that the number 5 marker is in the right place. Then you simply click save, and then it's saved the new version of the route. It's changed the whole the lines on the route to make it more accurate. Sometimes you forget to do that. It's a bit of a pain to do it afterwards. So just try and remember, check location added correctly after every single walk. It does depend on GPS signal in different localities as well. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, and then just the final adjustments. Claude has gone over quite a lot of this, but just some things that I've found. This is a walk I added just over the last 2 days called New Islington and the Medlock from Ancoats to Manchester. It comes up already with we'll have a picture on already. Usually I think it picks the last picture that you took. It's either the first or the last, I'm not sure. It will just show you a general location, usually something like Manchester or Bolton or Greater Manchester or something. It will show a time. It won't have any words on it, won't have any of these features on at all. It'll show an estimated kilometre distance. What I found is very useful is click on each of those and just make sure that you get them in the way that you want it. So I clicked on the location, changed it to Ancoats, Manchester, rather than just Greater Manchester. With the time, what I found is it tends to do quite fast timings on the walks. Just a good rule of thumb for the audiences that we're aiming at as part of this project, you can simply double the amount of time. That will really then cater for walkers who've got some difficulties, maybe you've got kids with them, as Claude mentioned. But basically, if then they do it faster than that, obviously that will create a nice feeling that they've walked really nice and done well fitness wise. The distance as well, I tend to add about 10% onto the distance because it doesn't capture all of the little winds and curves in the path. And then when you actually add the words on, looking at the third of the screenshots here, just one thing to note, there aren't many words available. There's limited space, which is a good thing because it means that the screen eventually for users doesn't get too crowded, but you have to be quite concise with the words. Just as an example, I put on here, first of all, a walk from Ancoats along the pretty Medlock Valley. I couldn't actually, when I got to the end of it, I couldn't actually fit enough letters in, so I actually had to change it to the green Medlock Valley. Just something to watch out for. And then obviously you pick your walk features, pick the ones that you feel are most applicable. You can pick up to 6 of them. Okay, that's it. So I'll hand back to Claude now for the questions and answers. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I'm not doing the questions and
Right.
answers.
To me, yeah, real.
I'm gonna just gonna quickly try to share some of the things that a few questions that have come up, just because I think they're better to show in app, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course.
And one thing that I forgot to share, annoyingly, the technology I was just using to share it before isn't now working. Typical. So I'm going to just try and share via Zoom on my screen. If the echo is horrendous, then I'll just do something else. But apologies if you are about to get a horrible noise. We'll see what happens. Let's see if this works. Can you see my phone screen?
Not at the moment.
No. Let's try. Right, I think what we'll do instead is I'll just hold my phone up to the camera. That's probably the best option, and then you won't get the horrible, horrible noise. So hopefully you can see this. I just wanted to flag the search option. So search is here at the very top. When you search for things, you can either search via the I'll show you if you start typing in a word. So if I start typing in Manchester, it would come up with an option for place names, or you can also search for routes by walk title. So that's quite handy if you've seen something shared on social, rather than looking for the location itself. Another thing is drafts. That's a question that we get quite a lot. So if you go down here into your area, at the top you'll have a few different options here. So the walks that you've saved, that's when you use the little star option, and these are some walks that I've saved that I haven't been on in the app, that I would very much love to go on one day, hopefully next year. But up here you've also got drafts. I don't currently have anything in there, but if you've started creating a walk and then for whatever reason halfway through you've had to do something else, it will automatically save in there, so you can pick it up at any point and finish it off, you know, when you've got time. That's where it will be. And then another thing that I didn't mention was a few questions we've had, sorry, about the green routes for you feature. These are entirely tailored to you, so whatever your username will come up there. All walks are shareable, but these walks are just for you because they're tailored to your location right now. So if you're going to share any walk, so let's say I wanted to share this one, you can go in the bottom right hand corner, and then there are some different options here. So one of them is to share, and then you can share that via social, or just copy the link to share with your friends, or share it directly via WhatsApp or whatever it might be. In the green routes for you area, so these tailored walks tailored to your location, again, this is just available at the moment on iOS. It is coming to Android next year. These are shareable, but the links are only shareable for I think 7 days at the moment. But unless someone lives in your house with you, in which case you can probably talk to them unless they've really annoyed you that day, you probably don't want to share these with people anyway, especially at the moment, because of the tiers and continuing kind of lockdown in some areas. You know, these are really applicable to where you live and what's on your doorstep. But again, just to reiterate, that tech is learning, so we're really hoping to get the best, greenest, most pleasant routes in your area for a circular walk, and get feedback on those. So yeah, there are a few things that I missed off. But over to you, Beth, now for a question.
Yeah, thanks everyone, really informative. Just to reinforce that we have recorded this presentation and we can make that available for people to see, or we can send out the slides. The other thing that we will be doing is going through the chat and saving that. So we're going to kind of put together a bit of a frequently asked questions kind of sheets and have that online as well. So hopefully all the questions and information that you've got today is available after today as well. Just going through the questions, it looks like most of them have been kind of responded to directly and straight away. Is there any additional questions people would like to ask? If you maybe just put your hand up or use the reactions at the bottom, just so I can see who's got a question, and I'll see if I can share. And there's a lot of people in the room. So Wahid, you've got a question. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, I found that presentation really useful. Thanks everyone. It was just a query. Basically, I'm more of a visual walker, so I like to see the map side of it. It was just two ideas that I thought would help myself and the people that I work with. Is on the map. I know if you do the walk, you can. Let's just use Moss Bank as you can scroll across, you see the picture, and then you go on the map to see where you are. But I'm just thinking, would it be possible that then to do it the other way around, where you're on the map and then you can click on the number to see what's located there? And the other query on the back of that is, for me, needing the toilet, it'd be good just to sort of, I know we have it at the start screen that there's a toilet facility, but would it be possible to have that WC located on the map so I know how far I am, where the toilet's located, or how far I am to the toilet? They were just two queries, Beth, that I thought might help.
Cool. Do you want to jump in there, Claude or Hannah, maybe? Yeah,
sure. So currently we just try to encourage users to note down, like we've said, where toilets are. I know I always do that on my walks, and most people do, like say this is your last opportunity for a pit stop, before the next half an hour or so of walking. We are always looking to pull in more data from different places. Like in London, for example, we pull in a lot of TfL open data about kind of step-free access. Some of that information I think might have toilets on it, but at the moment we don't have all of the data on public toilets, and at the moment it's particularly difficult as well because lots of public toilets are closed at the moment, which I know is really difficult for walking, but it's something that we can definitely look to improve or add in the future. Regarding the maps, you can look, when you're in a walk, you can look at the map if you prefer to look at that overall. So let's just choose a walk today. I think this is from Roger, who's might still be on the call. He's adding loads of walks for his dog group in Snowdonia. So you can go through the pictures like this, or if you prefer mostly using the map, you can just go click, from one point to another. It's hard for me to see what I'm doing, but there you go. You can just click on the different points. There you go, along the map, and they'll show you what's at each point. So you can pretty much stay in map view if you prefer that kind of thing.
All right, that's what I mean. I'm on the Android version, and I can't. That's exactly what I was saying. That would be useful, but I'm on Android. I don't know if that's what you mentioned. That might be coming spring, but I can't have that. I don't have that functionality now. But that's exactly what I was looking for.
Okay, yeah. Some of our map capabilities are currently just on iOS, but we are everything that's currently on iOS will be on Android in the spring. So think features that you can't get at the moment for any reason, you will be able to get in a few months' time.
Real great. And just to reinforce, there was a query in the chat around obviously we kind of celebrating and promoting that these walks are from across Greater Manchester at the moment, with focus kind of Salford, Bolton, Manchester, Rochdale and Oldham, of course, most importantly Oldham. So, and that's because, this is a new project for us. It's a pilot project, and we've kind of gone where the enthusiasm and energy was in terms of working with local officers and community groups in those areas. But we are very, very keen to get more routes on there. So if you're representing one of those areas that haven't got any routes on, very keen to support you to get routes on the app. So do get in touch, or, hopefully from today you'll feel confident to put your own routes on. But if you feel like you need more support, do get in touch. We had a question from Lucy and then also James, so I'll go to Lucy first.
Ooh. Hello. Thanks, it's been really good. It looks really interesting. I suppose when I looked at it originally, I was just thinking, because it's a universal app, isn't it, to encourage as many people as possible. But one of the things I'm interested in is working with schools who've got parents and young people who aren't walking, who are within walking distance. It doesn't feel very sexy to use as a walking map from schools, but has there been are any schools or young people using it, and is it worth something to explore from that point of view? And then my second question is the usual data audience. Are we able to learn and collect information about how it's being used and who's using it for future stuff?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you. So regarding walking to school, we are in touch with quite a lot of partners on a regular basis about similar things. That's also linked to our latest feature, the Green Routes for You mapping feature. So that's something that I've been using to walk from A to B. One of my children go to school, is in reception this year, and actually this feature has been really useful to find out the kind of least polluted, quietest, most peaceful route to school with him. So if you are an iOS user, you can use that already, and we would greatly encourage you to use that with your kids to help them learn not only about how to use the kind of mapping functions in the app, but also to obviously talk to them about pollution and also learn about kind of nature on the way and help them connect with nature from a young age for all of the obviously positive mental well-being reasons. So that's one thing you can do, and show them the different routes. Like, this is the fastest route, this is like the slightly slower route, but it will get us to notice all these different things along the way. Hang on, what was the other thing you were saying? Oh, data, sorry. Yes, we do. We have collect a huge amount of data in the app, and when we partner with different organizations, depending on the nature of that partnership, then we will share data with people. So if that's something you're interested in, then get in touch with us separately. Our email is hi@gojauntly.com, and we can talk about what data you might need and how much that might cost, etc.
Thank you, that's really helpful.
Real great. And just picking up on, there's been a couple of queries coming through around data and how to download apps, and obviously not necessarily all our audiences having access to unlimited data. So there is a function on the app where you can download the routes when you've got access to Wi-Fi, so at home or in another facility that have got free Wi-Fi, so that you can then go and use the routes out and about if you've not got data on your phone. So just to reinforce that, I know it's been a few points in the chat. James Long, you had a question, if you want to come in.
Sure, yeah, hi, yeah. So I work for the Canal River Trust, so obviously we'd be interested in sort of specific walking routes. And I guess I just wanted to get it completely sure in my head. If you create a route and publish it, is that then available to absolutely everybody, or is it just kind of shared within? All right, cool.
Yeah, it's as soon as you publish a route, it's available to everyone. We'll get a notification that there's been a new route uploaded, and we will then check it to make sure that other people could follow it. Sometimes we will go in there and edit it. So if we think that, like, overall it's a brilliant walk, but maybe someone just missed out an obvious, like, turn right at this path, we will just go in that and change it. But otherwise, yeah, it's available to everyone straight away. And that's really one of the great things about the app, is that it's a community-based app. So although we've created loads of walk with brilliant partners like our partners in Greater Manchester, it's also been a huge success, because we know that the people that know most about the local area are the locals, and therefore they've always got that great knowledge of this little brilliant park to go to, or this little stream that's hidden away that you can walk past, etc. And that's the way we intend to keep it.
Real. So yeah, just to reinforce for those with queries about routes being uploaded in their areas, so they can be obviously uploaded by yourselves if you feel confident to do that. We do have links and contacts with kind of local walking leads who can support with that as well. So what I would suggest initially is to get in touch with us at info@gmmoving.co.uk. Kaz has put that email address at the start of chat, but maybe Kaz, if you want to whack that in again, just so people can see that. And then we can either direct you to local support or help with that ourselves. So yeah, just info@gmmoving.co.uk to begin with. Any more questions? I've not seen any more.
Question from Adam, I can see.
Adam, Brill, yeah.
Hello, yeah, so my name's Adam. I'm from the outdoor charity, the Outdoor Collaborative, and we think this is a great initiative, and we're going to use this app. We're going to implement it into our guided walks of the area. But I suppose I've got two questions. First of all, so the first one is, we want to try and incorporate these walks into our training. So what the idea we've got is to maybe have a walk and then set challenges for the young people that use our services that go on our walks. So we might say, right, go to this point and take a photograph of, say, like the river. Is that something we can do? Is that possible?
They can certainly do that. I would encourage, if the purpose of it is to go and take pictures of things and to notice things, then the best thing for them to do is to use the nature notes function in the app. So the app's available on iPads as well. So if there's something you have access to, then a group of children could do that at the same time. The creating a walk part of it probably wouldn't be the best option necessarily for that, unless they were going to create like an entire route. But they could certainly use the nature notes function to take pictures of things, to write down what they notice, it depends what you want to do, but how they make them feel or what they can hear, whatever it might be that you're encouraging them to do. But that would be a great resource for young children to use.
Perfect. Yeah. Like I say, we think it's a great initiative already. Just one more question is, I think you've already mentioned this about the toilets, but we think, because this is trying to get more inactive people sort of active, get them out walking, we think about defibrillators, that would there be an option, or is there any way to sort of locate those on the maps as well? I think would that be the same as the toilets?
Yeah, so the data sets that we use at the moment are open data sets that we've then pulled into our maps to improve them. But yeah, if you know of open data sets like this or things like that you think would be useful, for sure, then we'll make a note of that, and there'll be things we'll look into in the future.
Perfect. Yeah, I think I did some research on it like last year, so I'll send you the link.
That would be amazing. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Well, we've probably got time for just one more question. Has anyone got a burning question they don't feel has been covered so far? I can't see any hands up or anything. Oh, Andrew, yeah.
Yeah, it is actually a question. What I was going to ask is, if anyone of all the people on this call today, they want to add their own routes, will they be added as part of this GM Short Walks, or will they be listed separately?
Say the last part again, sorry.
Yeah, when someone, let's say James, who was just on, wants to add a walk himself, let's say it's within Greater Manchester, will it become one of the GM Short Walks with the list that I've created, or will it be separate?
Yeah, we could definitely look to do that. Yes, we just have to make sure that it's got all of the brilliant information that you've already included on yours, Andrew. Okay. But I don't see why there wouldn't be any reason why we could do that. We want to, like you said, we want to get out there as much as possible. We want to encourage as many people to, use their lovely local areas and get outside and get all the benefits from that. So yeah, if anybody wants any help, like Beth already said, get in touch with her. They can put you in touch with loads of brilliant local organisations, as can Andrew, and we're more than happy to work together with people to get even more walks into the collection. That would be awesome.
Great stuff. Brill. So conscious of time, that's been a hell of a lot of information in a short space of time. So thank you for everyone who's contributed to the presentations and also kind of responding to all the queries in chat and answering the questions as well. Big thank you for everyone who's joined the workshop. We've had a really good uptake and really hope that this has been helpful to you and you can utilise the app to support people to walk more, which is what we're all here to do. As mentioned, we'll get some stuff sent out, the slides, we'll get information on the website, but please do get in touch if you've got any queries that you feel have not been covered today or that comes to you when you're in the middle of the night tonight thinking about walking like we all do, I'm sure. Well, thanks guys, thanks to Go Jauntly and to Andrew at Walking Projects, and a massive thank you to Ben as well for his input and support with the work. Just a shout out to Kaz as well, who's helped with pulling this all together. Brill. Thanks guys, have a great evening. Get out for a walk before it goes dark.
Thanks, Beth.
Thanks,
guys. Thanks
Bye-bye.
very much.
Thank you.